Hi and welcome to another video by Craft Buddies. This is part 2 on inks. Today I'd like to share with you 3 types of inks, which are pigment inks, chalk inks and solvent inks. Okay, let's start with the pigment inks. I have here Brilliance pigment inks from Suki Nicole. This is the small dewdrop size. They also have the full pad size, okay? Now when you stand with pigment inks like this, the inks do not absorb onto the paper like the dye inks. Rather, they sit on top of the paper. In other words, they dry on the surface of the paper. And because of this feature, pigment inks take longer time to dry and they remain opaque. Okay, so let's start inking. The color here is thyme. It's a very nice green color. Now, the pad is a bit spongy, so be light-handed. Don't apply too much pressure so as not to over-ink it. Now you can see even from the stem that the ink is pretty thick and dense, almost paint-like. Okay, I'm going to stamp it now on the white cardstock. Okay, very nice. Now when I run my finger over the image, there is some smearing, okay, because pigment inks, they dry a little bit slower. I don't know whether you can see it. Okay, some smearings here. Do you also notice that the color of the stamp image is very close to the color of the ink pad? So what you see on the ink pad, it's what you get when you stamp on it. Alright? Okay. How about dark cardstock? How will the ink looks like? Okay, so I'm going to stamp it again, this time on the dark cardstock. Very nice. Because the pigment ink is opaque, the cardstock color does not show through much, right? So the color of the ink does pop up more. Okay, how about the black ink? Okay, we're going to ink it up now. Let me get another cardstock. Okay. This is a clear stamp from Penny Black. Ink it up now and stamp. Don't leave it up too fast. Just to ensure that the ink is properly transferred onto the paper. Okay, you can see that the black ink also gives a clean and sharp image, capturing well the details of the stamp. So this is another great ink to use for images, even images with fine details and also on sentiment. But just be careful not to smear it because they dry a little bit slower. You can speed up the drying process if you like by using the heat tool. Okay, because pigment inks, they dry slower, there is time for you to actually use the emboss technique. Okay, and I have done already the embossing using the thyme. Okay, it's very nice, and I like to also emboss with the black Brilliance ink on my sentiments and on outline stamps before I color over it. Okay, so that's for our pigment inks. Now let's move on to the chalk inks. Okay, I'll clear this up first. Okay, now moving on to the chalk inks. I have here Resin Magic, also from Suki Nicole. Now chalk inks are designed to produce a soft chalk-like and matte look. Now, even though they are classified as pigment inks, actually they have the best of both pigment and dye inks features. Like the pigment inks, they are opaque, and like the dye inks, they dry a little bit more faster. Okay, so let's ink this up. This is actually a stamp from Hero Arts called 3 Silhouettes. It comes in 3 designs. You can see from the rubber that from the rubber stamp that the ink is also thick and opaque. I'm going to stamp on the white cardstock now. This color is called Mango Madness. Nice name. Right, very nice. Are there smearing? Just a little bit, but not as much as the pigment ink called the Brilliance Pigment ink. Okay. Now let's look at the effect of this ink on the dark color cardstock. Beautiful. See, what is great about chalk ink is that they keep to their vivid color, even on dark color cardstock. So if you like to use dark cardstock and wants the ink to show its color, to pop up, then Magic chalk ink is a good choice. Alright. Also, you can notice that it stays true to its color. What you see on the ink pad is what you get when you stamp. Okay, that's on chalk ink. So let's move on to the third type of ink called solvent-based ink. I'll put this aside first. Okay, so let's move on to the third type of ink called solvent-based ink. The most popular brand is Dazon, also from Sukineko. They comes in transparent color, like this 2 ink here, and also the opaque range that includes the white and several pastel colors. Now, Dazon is specially designed to be used on every type of surface. Okay, you can readily stamp Dazon on porous surfaces such as cardstock, or non-porous or slick surfaces such as glass, plastic, ceramics, metals, acetates, actually practically anywhere whereby your normal inks tend to slide. However, it is not recommended for fabrics. Okay, so I'll start inking with the black ink first. Okay, you can see that the pad comes with a plastic cover. Do not throw it. Protect the ink pad by covering it always, because stays on, they dry fast. Okay. There is a little odor, okay, from the ink. Just take note of that. Okay, I'm going to stand here. Very nice. You can see that it gives a beautiful sharp image. This is another great black ink to use for images, especially those with intricate details. Okay, now the ink dries fast. Okay, on cardstock it will not smear. Okay, you can also watercolor over the image. Okay, but just make sure that it's really completely dry. It wouldn't smear, okay? But stays on will smear when used with alcohol-based markers such as Copics. They're really a no-no combination. Okay, now how about non-porous surfaces? Okay, I have earlier on stamped on the acetate, okay, with the transparent ink. Let me remove this first. Just tapping on the transparent on the acetate using the transparent ink. I will use the color cardstock here to maybe you can see better. And also, just for your comparison, I also stamp with the opaque ink. Okay. I find that for image with some solid spaces, it's better to use the opaque ink, but both looks great on outline stamps. Now, just a few pointers about stays on, right? When you stamp on slick surfaces such as acetate, hold the stamp properly and do not put too much pressure because the stamp tends to slide on the smooth surface. Also, you do not need to heat set it. Let it dry naturally, and once dry, the ink is permanent. Now, stays on will also stain your stamps, especially wood blocks. Okay, so remove the ink from the stamp by using specially formulated cleaners for solvent-based ink. This will also ensure that your stamps are clean and not discolor your future projects. Okay, so there you are, some of the different types of inks. Do experiment with them yourself. The inks mentioned here, and also the tons of inks outside there. I think when you try it yourself, hands-on, you get a better knowledge and understand what you prefer. So I hope you find this useful. Catch you up later, and thanks for watching. Bye.